Whoa, that's not right. Huh.
On August 28, 2022, a home security camera in Pensacola, Florida, recorded an equally strange situation. A young woman was sitting in the living room watching television with her dogs when she suddenly raised her hand and started pulling her own hair, believing that something had pulled it. Curiously, none of the dogs reacted by barking or showing any sign of alert, which made her think she might have bumped into something by accident. It was only when reviewing the footage that she realized her hair was being gently pulled by an invisible force, with no apparent source in the scene.
Dispatch, we're at the vehicle now. Driver's side door is open. Car's running, but there's nobody inside.
You serious?
Dead serious. It's just empty.
At a police station in Trstenik, Serbia, security cameras captured something that left all officers completely confused. While monitoring the screens, an officer noticed a white, mist-like figure appear in a restricted corridor where absolutely no one was allowed to enter.
No employees, nothing. Even so, the symbol seemed to awaken, as if something inside the mall wanted to be seen. No one could explain how that happened, but many say that mall was never truly empty. The floating man. Inside a Walmart in the United States, a customer never imagined he would witness something so bizarre. Behind him, a man appeared completely floating in the air, lying horizontally, defying gravity as if it were the most natural thing in the world. The sight was so surreal, it looked like something from another dimension. And to this day, no one knows what really happened in that aisle. Did you enjoy these dark stories of haunted supermarkets? Leave a like, because that really helps bring more videos like this, and it shows you have the courage to see the next one.
Hey, get out of here. That's not yours. Go on, move. Hey!
This video was shared by a woman who one day experienced something very scary. She says she lives in an area that used to be indigenous land. On a certain night, she opened the door for her dog to go outside and do its business. And that's when she felt a presence, a strange presence that made her turn her head and see something that at first she thought was just her imagination. But when she checked the security cameras, she was completely terrified. Pay attention to the evidence.
Find the spot.
The camera recorded exactly what she had seen that night. A smoky figure slowly walking from one side to the other until it completely disappeared. The woman was in shock because she thought it was just her imagination, an optical illusion. But in the images, something appeared that shouldn't have been there. And because that area once belonged to an indigenous people, many believe it could possibly be the spirit of a native person who is trapped in that place. But what do you think? What was that appeared there? Was it a spirit or just an optical illusion? You decide. The next case happened one night. A woman was sleeping in her bedroom when she received a notification on her phone. It was a motion alert coming from her baby's room. The camera indicated that there was movement. When she looked through the camera, she saw that her baby was moving. But right in the corner on the left side, something appeared that left her completely terrified. Pay attention to the evidence. This woman couldn't understand how the figure of a little boy could be there in the corner. When she posted this video on social media, many people said that it could just be another child, maybe the baby's brother who was there. But she says she has no other children in the house. It's just her baby. So who or what was that appeared in that recording? A surveillance camera in a hospital was filming a man who was lying in his hospital bed. He was in his final days. Everything was normal until something started to happen that left everyone shocked. Next to the bed, a figure began to form that at one moment looked dark and in another moment became completely white. It looked like that figure was there taking care of the person, watching him closely. Some believe that it could have been his guardian angel accompanying him in his final days. Others say it was the Grim Reaper waiting to take his soul. Others say it was a manifestation of a relative, a deceased family member who was there to guide him to the other side. But what do you think? What was it? Was it just an optical illusion? Was it a guardian angel, the Grim Reaper, or a family member waiting for him? You decide. As always, you are the one who has the final word here on this channel. I want to know your opinion because it's very important. This next video was shared by a man from Mexico. He says that his fiancée recorded a video one night while she was lying in bed. Out of nowhere, something very strange started happening with the blanket. She grabbed her phone and recorded what was happening. Pay attention. This man's fiancée couldn't understand how that was happening, how the blanket was moving like that as if there was something under it, but there was nothing. She was very scared, so she didn't get up to see what it was. She was completely terrified. Her only reaction was to pick up her phone, record the video, and send it to her fiancé. The man says that after she stopped recording, the movement stopped and never happened again. Some people believe it was a paranormal phenomenon. Others say it could have just been a draft of wind or some movement in the mattress that caused it. But what do you think? What happened there? Something paranormal? This happened to a young woman. She took a picture to send to her best friend, but in that picture, something appeared that caught attention. Her friend asked who that person was in the background. Well, at the end of the hallway, you can see a silhouette, a very strange white pale silhouette in an unusual position. The creepiest part is that it was looking directly at the camera. The young woman says she was alone in the house at that moment. She has no pets. So who or what was that? The next video seems to be just a prank. It looks like it's just a young man fooling around in a park at night. But if you pay attention to the details, this could be something supernatural. Pay attention. Some people who watch this video say that the young man had no shadow. Some say it was just an optical illusion, that's why his shadow didn't show on the ground. But one thing we can't deny is that when the young man lifts his head, we can see that his eyes are glowing. Now, is this something paranormal or just a prank? You decide. This video was recorded in Thailand. It was at a funeral. A couple was singing as a farewell to a woman who had passed away when something very strange happened right behind them. Pay attention to the evidence. Did you see it? If we pay close attention while the young woman is singing, we can see behind her a woman with a sinister and scary face standing right behind her. At one point, it even looks like something pulls the curtain. Many believed that this was the spirit of the person who passed away, and that she was not happy with the show and wanted peace. But what do you think? The following video was shared by a factory security guard. One night, the factory's camera recorded something very scary walking in the yard. Pay attention. In the footage, we can see what looks like a whitish figure walking through the fence. It stands there for a few seconds, then starts walking again toward the building until it completely disappears. According to this guard, it was a ghost, the ghost of a man who died in that same company a few years ago. But what do you think about this video? Was it a ghost, or just something that passed in front of the camera lens? You decide. The surveillance cameras of a house recorded the moment when something seems to attack a dog during the night. Pay attention. In the footage, we can see the dog sleeping in its bed when suddenly the bed starts to levitate, frightening the dog, who runs away. Another similar video shows a dog sleeping in the living room, and something appears to pull the rug, terrifying the dog. Pay attention. Many believe animals can see the supernatural and are very sensitive to the paranormal. Others believe it's fake, a staged video. And what do you think about this? As always, you have the final word. The next case is a very curious recording made by a man who was on his way home late at night. He saw something on top of a house, something he believes to be the famous Mothman, a well-known entity. Quickly, he pulled out his phone and recorded it. But what was that? What looks like a creature standing on the roof of a house remains still for a few seconds, then disappears. Was it the famous Mothman? What was that? The next evidence is a recording of a group of hospital workers who were gathered working on Christmas. They decided to celebrate. Everyone posed for a picture, and in that photo, something very sinister appeared. At the end of that corridor, something is standing there, something that looks like a person. But the person who shared the image said that everyone was there at the table celebrating. There shouldn't have been anyone behind them. Moreover, that corridor is where the hospital's morgue is located. So who or what was that? It is a very frightening photograph. The next video was posted on TikTok. There isn't much information, but it shows two employees in a morgue when something very sinister happens. Pay attention. This video quickly went viral on the internet and left many people scared. However, opinions are divided. Some believe it is real footage, while others believe it was staged. And what do you think about this? As always, you have the final word. Sophia is a young adventurer. She dedicates herself to traveling to many places and sharing everything on her personal profile. On one of these trips, she recorded something very strange on top of a mountain. Pay attention to the evidence.
Você viu alguma coisa de estranho nesse vídeo?
Did you notice anything strange in this video? While she was filming the mountain, something appeared behind a rock, something she didn't notice at the time, only later when reviewing the footage and saw something that could not have been a person because there shouldn't be anyone there. It's a dangerous place for inexperienced people. So what was that? Could it have been an animal? She says there are no animals on that mountain. So what was it? This video is from surveillance cameras in a museum of oddities in Nottingham, England. This museum has many old objects which many believe are haunted. One night, the surveillance cameras recorded something very sinister. Pay attention to the evidence. The camera recorded something very strange. In one of the main rooms, we can see what looks like whitish smoke moving slowly. It moves throughout the room until it completely disappears. The question is, what was that? But that wasn't all. Something had already been recorded before, something very sinister in the attic, which is used as storage for objects that are not on display. The surveillance camera recorded something very frightening. Pay attention. Right at the entrance of the attic, a mysterious figure appears. A completely strange figure that stands there for a few minutes until it completely disappears. Now, what was that? What is happening in this museum? The employees of that museum are fully convinced that the place is haunted. This video was recorded in Mexico. There isn't much information, but it shows a group of people filming a window where an image of a very sinister and scary face appeared. In the footage, we can see that a face appeared in the window, an extremely sinister and frightening face. The question is, what was that? Was it a supernatural manifestation, just an optical illusion? But we can see that the people become completely terrified and quickly start recording it. A paranormal investigator decided to explore a completely abandoned shopping mall in downtown Nelp de Rueras in the state of Mexico. During the investigation, he came across something unsettling. The footage, dated November 28, 2022, shows a humanoid figure appearing in the middle of one of the deserted corridors. The entity remained still, staring directly at the camera without making any sound or showing any noticeable movement. Within seconds, it vanished as if it had dissolved into the air, leaving the investigator terrified. Concerned for his own safety, he decided to leave the location immediately. The hazy shape moved in a smooth, continuous way before disappearing. At first, they believed it could have been a recording glitch, but that theory was dismissed when the figure appeared again. Although it had no defined shape, its movements were far too precise to be random. The video was reviewed several times, and still no one could find a plausible explanation, raising the possibility that it truly was a ghost. In 2019, a frightening incident occurred in Managua, Nicaragua. The owner of a house that was still under construction suspected that someone had broken in and called the police. However, when an officer arrived to investigate, he quickly realized that it didn't seem to be an ordinary intruder. Inside the residence was a dark figure covered in black clothing, with an oddly distorted face and glowing eyes in the dim light. Unsure of what it was, the officer chose not to enter right away. Instead, he recorded the scene and called for backup over the radio. Before any other team arrived, the mysterious figure vanished without leaving any trace. A woman who lived alone in a house where paranormal phenomena occasionally occurred decided to perform a cleansing ritual using a sage stick, believing that it could drive away any unwanted presence. But as soon as she began the ritual, the atmosphere changed drastically. Objects started falling for no apparent reason, and strange movements appeared around her. A camera installed in the bedroom recorded all the activity as she tried to understand what was happening. The invisible force seemed to follow her from room to room, knocking items over along the way, until, in terror, she fled the house. For her safety, she stayed outside, waiting for her son to return before entering again.
What the? Oh my god! Oh my god!
In the forests of Bani Wang in eastern Java, Indonesia, a local resident was walking through the area when he came across a disturbing scene. A frightening figure standing right in front of a cave surrounded by several lit candles. It was impossible to tell whether it was a person performing some kind of ritual or something much more sinister that had been summoned there. Without understanding what he had just witnessed, the man kept his distance. As soon as the entity noticed his presence, it made a sudden movement and disappeared into the darkness, causing the resident to run back down the path in desperation. A young mother began to notice strange behavior in her small son. He often stopped on his own, staring into an empty corner of the room while murmuring words, something she initially interpreted as a child's imagination. One time she recorded a video for TikTok showing the boy staring at the bathroom vent while speaking softly, as if he were saying goodbye to someone she couldn't see. When asked about it, the boy insisted that there was a ghost talking to him. In the days that followed, the scene repeated itself. He talked to the fan, blew kisses, and seemed to interact with something invisible, leaving the mother increasingly uneasy. What she hoped was just an imaginative phase began to raise real concern for her son's safety and well-being. A paranormal enthusiast recorded footage that quickly gained attention on TikTok, showing suspicious movement inside an empty house. In the video, fragile, almost translucent shapes can be seen moving near the windows, as if several figures were walking inside the property. The video creator suggested it could be the presence of an entire family of spirits, as the movements appeared small but surprisingly coordinated. The most curious fact is that the owner had locked the house and left the country weeks earlier, eliminating any chance of human activity. The coincidence led viewers to debate whether it was just a lighting effect or something much more unusual lingering inside the abandoned home. Around 3 a.m. in Manila, Philippines, 2 security guards were finishing their patrol when a loud noise echoed through the empty corridor of an old building. Following the sound, they reached the emergency exit, where the lights were flickering irregularly. The noise was coming from the emergency door cabinet, which was repeatedly slamming open and shut on its own. The door was not mechanical and could only be moved manually, which made the situation even more disturbing. After a few minutes, the banging stopped as abruptly as it had begun, returning the corridor to silence. The episode left both men so shaken that from that day on, they avoided that area of the building during their night rounds. In Austin, Texas, an employee at a crematorium reported an unusual episode at the end of her shift. After noticing the strange activity once again, she decided to record it as proof. The footage shows the lid of an occupied urn moving on its own to the point of almost being removed. Shortly after, something appears to enter and leave the room, captured by the camera as a subtle but visible movement. Many attributed the phenomenon to a spirit, while others suggested it could have been the soul of the deceased, leaving the urn and wandering the surroundings. Late one night, two friends, Brian and Connor, decided to investigate a local rumor about something unusual hidden near an old sewer, disturbing enough that some residents considered calling the police. As they got closer, curiosity turned to fear. From the shadows behind the grate, a pale, distorted figure began to emerge, crawling out of the sewer. Its movements were slow, rigid, and strangely human. Frightened by what they witnessed, the two fled immediately and reported an incident to the authorities. Strange events unfolding in subway tunnels. Terrifying exorcisms recorded by cameras, and people acting in an almost zombie-like way. These moments truly defy any explanation. Let's dive into some of the most mysterious clips ever captured, the ones that, in theory, were never meant to be seen. During a family gathering in Portland, a homeless man entered a parked car. He was reportedly seen trying to hotwire the vehicle, which triggered an immediate and aggressive reaction from the nearby parents. The man reacted intensely while someone filmed everything, until the video abruptly cut off, possibly when the camera was knocked to the ground. In Detroit, a woman was about to get out of her car to enter a store when she noticed a strange man nearby. He was standing in the parking lot with his body leaning backward in an unnatural way, completely motionless as if stuck in a trance. Moments later, he began to slowly sway from side to side in an unsettling rhythm. Not understanding what she was witnessing, the woman decided not to take any risks. She got back in her car and went to shop somewhere else, leaving the mysterious figure behind. In Panama City, residents reported a strange encounter with mysterious humanoid figures. The video, dated October 10, 2025, shows several humanoids in a zombie-like state appearing at the entrance of a government building. The people who were there quickly blocked the exit with chairs, confining them in that area. Based on their appearance, reactions, and behavior, many believed they were really zombies, although a large portion of viewers associated the episode with something paranormal. In New York, subway passengers came across a man whose behavior was deeply strange. He began crawling along the floor of the train car, making snake-like sounds and frightening those around him. The man appears in two different moments, claiming to be a snake, which caused several passengers to move away or change seats. His identity remains unknown, and some believe it may have been a publicity stunt, a mental breakdown, or even something more supernatural. In Charlotte, US, a visitor walking past the Truist Center noticed pedestrians behaving in a very strange way. They seemed to be in some sort of suspended mode, motionless, yet still able to keep their balance and remain standing. Even in uncomfortable positions, resembling zombies. Many attributed the behavior to the use of illegal substances, although that did not fully explain how some people appeared to be literally frozen in the middle of the street. On the New York subway, another unusual scene caught attention. A man dressed as a rat was climbing the station stairs with what looked like a giant slice of pizza stuck in his mouth. It was October 16, 2023. The video went viral on social media, amusing and confusing viewers. Another passenger, completely unfazed, is seen jumping up the stairs. Some users on X, formerly Twitter, linked the scene to Halloween. Others thought it was a humorous criticism of the rat problem in the subway. On August 2, 2018, residents of a condominium in Florida recorded a bizarre encounter with a woman who was behaving in a completely uncontrolled manner. She appeared to be in a trance, saying nonsensical things and reacting erratically while someone tried to speak to her and understand what was happening. The woman appeared out of nowhere, standing right at the apartment door, and stayed there for hours. As time passed, her behavior became more dramatic and strange, leading to several warnings and attempts by residents to make her leave. The cause was unknown, although a witness suggested she might have been under the influence of some prohibited substance. Spinning teeth. As strange as it sounds, it was clear that the woman wore dentures and chewed gum frequently. A video recorded inside the subway on January 18, 2023, showed the elderly woman moving her dentures from side to side in an almost playful way. She kept doing this throughout the entire ride until reaching her destination. Despite the uncomfortable scene, the person filming kept their distance and recorded everything to post on social media, defying logic. Perhaps calling it a magic trick would be the most accurate description. A young South Korean tourist left everyone around her in Ortica, Turkey, completely shocked when she appeared to defy gravity. The scene, filmed on November 7, 2020, gathered a small crowd of curious onlookers trying to understand how she managed to do it, searching for some clue or hidden trick. The Witch by the Roadside. On September 25, 2025, the TikTok account PexySAW shared a terrifying video of a strange figure appearing on the side of a road in Bangkok, Thailand. Drivers and pedestrians were terrified, not only because of her dark appearance, but also because of her unusual behavior. Although she had a female shape, the figure seemed anything but human. Locals quickly began calling her Una Bruja, an entity known only in fictional stories. To this day, no one knows the reason or intention behind her appearance in the middle of an urban area. Strange man in the street. While walking through the streets of New York, a man came across a disturbing stranger standing in the middle of the road. He was able to stand and maintain his balance, but for some inexplicable reason, he could not walk or fully straighten himself up. Some believed it could have been the effect of a prohibited substance. Others thought it might be a case of zombie-like behavior, especially because of the growling sounds he made when the person filming approached him. Fight against no one. During a fair in Sacramento, California on September 29, 2023, the public's attention turned to a young man who appeared to be involved in an intense fight with no one. He moved as if he were fighting an invisible opponent, even falling backward as if he had been hit, only to quickly get back up. A crowd formed around him, keeping their distance, believing he might be in the middle of a severe hallucination. Others began speculating whether he was fighting something supernatural, a spirit, a demon, or an invisible being. Hammock on the train. A newcomer to New York City was shocked to see a homeless man sleeping in an improvised hammock inside a train car tied between two support bars during rush hour. Surprised, he began filming, and the situation became even more unusual when two loud young men entered the train. The noise woke him up, and the man in the hammock became irritated, aggressively confronting them while claiming that the train was his private property. If you enjoyed this story full of strange, bizarre, and completely out of the ordinary moments, leave a like. It helps a lot and shows me that you want more videos like this.
I am the Holy Ghost. You foul spirit of the vulture, release Hannah out.
Prepare yourself to step into the shadows. Tonight, we're diving into some of the most disturbing, unexplained, and downright terrifying moments ever caught on camera. From eerie encounters in forgotten places to strange forces that defy everything we understand, these clips will push the limits of what you believe is possible. In this next clip, we're taken inside a small church in Brazil, where low-quality footage captures a scene that feels straight out of a nightmare. A woman, appearing completely overcome by something dark, begins screaming, "Hail Satan," in Portuguese as terrified onlookers freeze in place. The priest, visibly shaken but determined, rushes forward with a vial of holy water and throws it toward her. The moment it touches her, she lets out a chilling scream and collapses to the floor.
Em nome de Cristo, afasta-te! Água benta!
The strange part was, why did he throw the entire bottle at her, not just the water? He knocked her down with a literal bottle of holy water. Regardless of the method, it worked. With the tension thick in the air, the priest slowly makes the sign of the cross, as if sealing whatever just unfolded before the camera.
Em nome de Cristo, afasta-te! Água benta!
In another video, similar to the last one, a woman looking demon-possessed starts screaming, "Hail Satan!" She screams and drops to the ground in a very shocking encounter. In this next terrifying clip, a woman sits peacefully on her porch when something completely unseen turns the moment into pure chaos. Without warning, she's yanked forward as if grabbed by an invisible force, dragged violently down the steps, while her screams echo into the night. The wind chimes overhead begin shaking uncontrollably, rattling with a fury that doesn't match the still air around her. Whatever hit her came fast, came hard, and left no trace, just the chilling sound of her cries and the eerie clatter of metal in the darkness. Our next clip comes from what some claim to be leaked footage from deep inside the Vatican, though its origins remain completely unverified. The grainy video appears to show a figure resembling the Pope standing before a restrained, thrashing shape tied to a chair. The creature's movements are frantic, almost inhuman, as shadows distort its form in the dim light. The Pope-like figure raises a hand in prayer, attempting to calm the violent presence before him. Whether this footage is an elaborate hoax or something far more disturbing, one thing is certain. Whatever is happening in that room feels anything but ordinary.
Hey, whoa. That's not right. Huh.
What was that? Was it a ghost or maybe a camera glitch? What was that shadow figure that appeared in the corner? In some South American countries like Colombia and Venezuela, people tell the legend of the famous Sibon, a humanoid-looking specter, very tall and hunched over, who walks the streets at dawn and announces his presence by whistling. On social media, many people share evidence of his existence, like in this case. The exact location where this was recorded is unknown, but they say it was filmed in a small village in Colombia around 3 a.m. Check it out. Some people say it was just an ordinary old man, while others claim it was the Sibon himself, because he was tall and his proportions looked very similar to the creature. And you, what do you think? As always, you have the final verdict here on this channel. Take a look at this video shared by a young man. He filmed his mother's dress apparently moving on its own. That's right, the dress hanging on the wall was moving by itself. Pay attention.
What is that? It's moving closer. Oh, God.
This next strange video, I don't know its origin, but it seems to have been recorded in a forest where a strange creature appears, what many claim to be the famous Bigfoot. Pay attention. Well, it's a very doubtful video, and like most videos, it seems fake since only half of the creature appears. Whatever it is, I want to hear your opinion down below. The next case is quite frightening. It was recorded inside a tattoo studio. A tattoo artist was working on her client when something very strange happened, scaring both of them. Pay attention. She was there doing her job when she appears to look at the table and sees something that scares her. It seems she saw an object moving. She looked startled but kept working until a chair moved behind her, making everyone panic and leave the studio immediately. So, fake video? A setup? What happened here? Tell me in the comments.
Fica atrás de mim, em nome do Pai, do Filho e do Espírito. Que o Senhor te liberte.
From dust you came, and by the breath of the Almighty you will return. By his name I command you, leave this vessel, come out!
This video was posted by the user Salguero Joga on October 18th and caused a lot of controversy. According to him, he was with a group of friends at home and decided to record that moment. Days later, while reviewing the video, he saw this. Many people say it was just one of his friends stepping outside for a smoke or some fresh air, but Salguero insists everyone was inside the house and that at that time, no one was outside. Others say maybe it was a neighbor, but he said he doesn't recognize the person who appeared. So who or what was that? Now we move on to a recording of a father filming his daughter playing with her kitten when he captured something that shocked him. Pay attention to the evidence. Captured through a night vision camera in a dimly lit bedroom, this footage reveals a bizarre, long-limbed creature perched over a sleeping person. Its rodent-like face and unnaturally elongated limbs make it look nothing like any known animal, and its careful, almost deliberate posture suggests it is studying the sleeper rather than scavenging. The individual in the bed appears completely unaware, breathing steadily as the creature leans close enough to touch. Investigators have debated whether this is an elaborate fabrication, an unknown species, or something far more unsettling, an entity that seems to move with intelligence and intent in the dead of night. He was filming them playing when suddenly that pink basket in the corner is thrown by something or someone. But the man says no one else was in the house. The only animal there was the kitten, and as we see, it was playing with the girl right in front of the camera. So who or what threw the basket? Paranormal activity caught on camera? Tell me your thoughts. This case was posted by a TikTok user in Mexico. A funeral home worker was doing his night shift when he started hearing strange noises. He quickly grabbed his phone to record everything and captured something sinister. Evidence. A dark figure appeared in the back of the footage. The man was terrified since he was completely alone, and because he was in charge of checking the place, he went to see if it was a person. But when he got there, there was nothing. The place was empty. The strange thing is that the footage has several cuts throughout the video. Some say it could be a camera error, that devices fail in the presence of spirits or entities. Now, is that true, or was it manipulated? Either way, it's a pretty scary piece of evidence. The next video was shared by a movie theater security guard in Indonesia. One day, he was reviewing surveillance footage and saw something unusual. Check it out. He saw a glowing silhouette of something or someone sitting in one of the theater seats, a very bright figure that seemed like a person. The strange thing is that no one in the theater noticed it. It's as if it was visible only to the camera. So what was it? Someone checking their phone and the camera glitched? An optical illusion? Or a supernatural presence? Now take a look at this case from a woman in Buenos Aires, Argentina. A very frightening piece of evidence from a hospital. She said she was tending to her hospitalized child when she felt a brief discomfort, like someone was touching her. Since there was no one around, it was just her and her child, she decided to take a selfie with her phone, and at that moment, something sinister appeared in the photo, something that terrified her completely. The woman screamed when she saw a hand on her neck. She begged the nurses to take her child out of that room because something was there. The nurses came, saw the photo, were shocked, and moved them immediately, and didn't share much about it to avoid scaring other patients. Without a doubt, a very frightening piece of evidence. Whose hand was that if no one else was in the room? A sinister, creepy hand that looked like it belonged to someone deceased. This woman says strange things have been happening in her house. One night, her outdoor camera detected movement, and when she checked the footage, she saw this. Pay attention. A small, dark figure crosses from right to left on the sidewalk in front of her house. A translucent figure that appears out of nowhere and then disappears. She believes this is evidence of a supernatural entity manifesting outside her home. Others believe it was just a person the camera recorded incorrectly. A TikTok user who lives near the Appalachian Mountains shared various interesting captures from that region, a place full of mysteries and eerie legends. This time, he shared a very intriguing piece of evidence. Pay attention. We start with a video that has been widely shared on social media and is becoming viral. This video was shared by a man who works in a hospital in Mexico. It was nighttime. He was on his shift. His car was parked right in front of him. At that moment, he saw something very frightening, something that made him grab his phone immediately and start recording. Pay attention. But what appeared inside that car? In the recording, we can see a man at his job in a hospital in Mexico. Suddenly, he sees something very strange, what appears to be a face inside his car. He immediately starts recording the video. Then he gets up and goes to the vehicle. But when he gets there, that face simply disappears. There is nothing. The car is completely empty. He shows around the car and there is no one, and the car is entirely empty. Many say it might have been just the reflection of a person in a window above. But as we can see, the car was under a covering, so it could not have been someone's reflection. So what happened here? Whose face was that inside the car? This video is going viral on social media and frightening many people. What would your explanation be? Given that the video was recorded in a hospital, it becomes even more intriguing, as many believe hospitals are haunted by spirits and ghosts of people who have passed away. But I want to know your opinion below in the comments. As always, you have the final word. Who or what was that? The next piece of evidence is quite frightening. It is a recording made by surveillance cameras inside a company. It was late at night, the place was closed, when paranormal activities began to occur, and everything was recorded by the cameras. Pay attention to the evidence. But what happened here? As we can see in the recording, those chairs began to move apparently on their own, with no one in the area. And some objects on the table also began to move. It is a very intriguing video, but what happened here? Would this be real paranormal activity? It is important to note that it was dawn, the place was closed, there was no one inside the room, and the fans were also off, ruling out the possibility of wind. So if it was not the wind, who spun those chairs? It is a very sinister and frightening recording. Is it paranormal activity or a staged video? That is for you to decide. The next piece of evidence is another recording made by surveillance cameras from Maru, who captured something very eerie. A silhouette appears to walk from one side to another, a translucent silhouette that many believe to be a ghost. Pay attention. In the footage, we can see a translucent silhouette walking in the middle of the street. It walks slowly until it becomes fully visible.
Now, is this real evidence or just a person the camera failed to capture correctly? As always, that is for you to decide. You have the final word on this channel. The next case is a video shared by a young woman who was at home and decided to film a video to post on her social media. However, something very strange appeared right behind her. Watch. In the footage, we can see a young woman in front of the camera, and behind her there is a staircase, and something appears there. Something that should not be there. What seems to be two human legs, dark, hanging above the stairs. The young woman says no one else was in the house. She was completely alone. So what was hanging there? She says there are no mannequins or dolls in the house, which would be the only explanation. After sharing the video, some suggested it was just a visual effect, an edited clip, or a manipulated video. But if we look closer, we can see the video was not edited, and she insists the video is completely real. So what was it? Was it just an optical illusion? Was it the leg of some ghost? It is quite a strange piece of evidence. The next series of videos was shared by a woman who says she experienced paranormal moments since she was a child. She says these events still happen no matter where she goes. Because of this, she installed several cameras in her house to record these occurrences and seek help. One night, the camera recorded the following. Pay attention. Everything started with a door apparently closing by itself while she was sleeping. But what you will see next is poltergeist activity. Pay attention. Just these activities would terrify anyone, but the worst was yet to come, when one night while she slept, the camera recorded something even more sinister. That night, the camera captured several translucent figures moving around the entire house, including in her bedroom while she slept. The woman says she is collecting evidence to validate her case and get help from a paranormal specialist to end this. But if it were you, what would you do? Could it be real? Something created? A manipulated video? That is for you to decide. Comment your opinion below. The next evidence was shared on Reddit by a man. It is a video recorded inside a restaurant that was already closed. It was early morning, no one was there, and something very strange appeared. Many believe it to be the presence of a ghost. Pay attention. At first glance, it seems to be just a person standing there. But if we look closely, we can see that the figure moves and passes through all the objects in the place, as if it were a ghost. This viral video shocked many people. We can see a group of paranormal investigators in a cemetery who find a coffin on the ground when suddenly it starts to move, as if something alive was inside the coffin. First, a slight tremor, then it grows even stronger. The person recording didn't approach because they were scared. Skeptics believe it was staged. Believers think it was the soul of someone trying to escape. But what about you? What do you think happened here? Just a planned video or a real recording? A strange video that frightened many people recorded in a cemetery shows a freshly dug grave with soft soil. Suddenly, the ground starts to rise, as if something was trying to get out. The person recording doesn't say anything, just films the video and later shares it online. Now, what was under there? Was it an animal? An insect? What was that?
Dale, Señor, el descanso eterno y brille para ella la luz.
¡Niña, ven! ¡Dios nos guarde! ¿Dónde estoy?
The next evidence was captured by surveillance cameras from a house in Indonesia. In the video, we see a couple stepping out to check a small patio behind their house as they believed there was an intruder, but they didn't see anything, though the camera captured something very strange. Watch. A small humanoid figure runs from one side to another. It passes in front of the woman, but she did not see anything. The figure seemed to run so fast that no one noticed it. Now what would that be? A person or paranormal evidence? A woman was visiting her grandmother's old house. She says she had always visited and never felt anything strange, but this time she felt a presence, as if something was in the house. Her grandmother later told her she had been having many nightmares at night recently. One day, the young woman decided to film the apartment and ended up capturing something very strange. You can see several orbs passing in front of the camera, but something even more frightening appears in the corner. At the end of the hallway, you can see a figure that looks like a young girl standing and staring directly at the woman. Now, what was that? There is no further information. Was it an entity manifesting in her grandmother's home? It is a very frightening piece of evidence.